Welcome back, everyone. Next, we have Lifeloc Technologies, Inc., trades on the OTCID under the symbol LCTC. It's a trusted U.S. manufacturer of evidential breath alcohol testers and related training and supplies for workplace, law enforcement, corrections, and international customers. Happy to welcome President and CEO Wayne Willkomm. Welcome to the conference today, Wayne. We're excited for your presentation.
Great. Thank you, Anna. It's my pleasure to talk to you today about Lifeloc Technologies. We are a global leader in the design and manufacture of portable breath alcohol testers. I've got our regular disclaimer that our lawyer wants us to always show. That's there for your reading pleasure. I'll move past that now. To give a quick snapshot of our core business, we manufacture these breathalyzers here in our facility outside of Denver, Colorado. We export more than 25% of our product. We've been doing this for decades. We've got an installed base in over 70 countries. We've got the global channel to market internationally through distribution. In the US and Canada, there's direct sales as well as some distribution. This base business is profitable and cash flow positive. We had about $8.5 million of sales last year, and it's stable. And it's nice that you can count on it, but and we fight for growth. We fight for every point of market share that we can, but that fighting for market share doesn't really fulfill the growth aspirations that we have. We recognize, we've said, okay, well, where can we grow? What's allied? What technology is available? What's allied to our product? And we find the best opportunity for us is in real time drug testing. And just a quick snapshot on the core business. These are our portable breath testers. I've got one here in my hand. The top models, the Phoenix and the 8030, are for the U.S. workplace. The FC series are for law enforcement. The L series are a little more modern. Those are going primarily into law enforcement now. There will be a model off of that goes into the workplace testing. The L series they're more modern, they're more customizable. For example, if we go to a country that has a different language or has a minority language group that they want to have represented, we can install that as well. It's an importation of a translation table, so it becomes a couple-hour exercise instead of a new version of firmware as for the older models. Additionally, these breath alcohol testers are required to be calibrated. We recommend once a year. Some jurisdictions have a much more frequent calibration requirement. Regardless, we offer some value-added products. For the most important of this is the automated calibration station. And you see that here with the breathalyzer sat in the cradle. And you can place it there, connect it, and with the press of a button, it will calibrate itself. This is beautiful because if you have just a few breathalyzers and you do it once a year, people forget how to do it, right? And if you have a lot of breathalyzers and you know very well how to do it, well, it's a lot of work. Either way, the automated calibration is a great solution, and then it also provides a great evidential record if that's needed. This is really the best moat for our business. Once people start using the automated calibration, there's just no losing that customer. And again, this is a patent protected position. We're the only one in this segment that offers that. Likewise, another product that we do is the Sentinel. This is a automated access control area. So you would use this in a safety sensitive area. Mines are where we're most successful in this. Nuclear plants, chemical plants, refineries, any place where you want to test every worker as they go into work. There's a passive test. It does not depend on the literacy of the worker, so this is great internationally. You know to blow, and you get a green check if you're good, and you get a red X if you're bad, and then you deal appropriately. I love this product because it turns a $300 breathalyzer into a $2,000 access control device. That's a quick snapshot of the Lifeloc business today. But again, how do we grow beyond that? Well, we looked at, again, drug testing is the obvious next step. We looked at lots of technologies. And we ultimately arrived with a partnership with Sandia National Laboratory. They had a technology which they used for bioterrorism detection, minute quantities. And with marijuana, marijuana was, of course, the drug of most interest. It takes very little amount to intoxicate a person. And so we knew that we were dealing with really small quantities. So we went with that technology. We said, okay, let's do a cooperative research program. Can we take your technology and apply it to drugs of abuse? And we found that we could. So then we signed a license agreement and have been working on the development of that, the commercialization of that up to now to get to the spin detect centrifugal drug analyzer, which we are getting close to launching. We expect that this will more than double the revenue of the company by 2028 and really go well beyond that. That's just scratching the surface. Because there is an enormous unmet need for rapid measurement that's relevant to impairment. You do urine testing, that doesn't tell you anything about current impairment right now. So ultimately, it's an interesting technology, and the rapid testing of oral fluid for drugs of abuse is an opportunity in itself that's really exciting. That's a hundreds of $1 million opportunity. But we really view that as a stepping stone. That is the first step into a launch because of the flexibility of this technology platform. The obvious, there's a couple paths here. We're talking about oral fluid in the first application, but we still want to move this into blood testing and breath testing. So the good news is the heavy lifting's already done. We've got the reader. It's going to be the same reader for all of that. But then, for blood, it's going to be a different collection device. We're hoping that's an off-the-shelf collection device. We'll still see if the disc has got to be modified or not. But then there are applications even beyond drugs of abuse. We've talked about, an interesting and immediate line extension on that would be performance-enhancing drugs. And then we also have some ideas into food safety, diagnostics, and veterinary. So this is really a whole technology platform which is going to transform the business. I'm going to talk the rest of the time really just about the next step, about our work to get to fulfill the stepping stone. So again, alcohol testing has been the key to Lifeloc's success to date. We believe that rapid drug testing is our best opportunity to grow, by multiples. We're not looking to grow by 5%, but we're looking to grow. How do we grow 2x, 3x more? I've heard, well, marijuana legalization across the board. Do we even need to do this? Well, the marijuana legalization just makes this more important. It's normalizing use. People think it's legal, so I can drive, I can go to work. Well, no, we all have a reasonable expectation that the other drivers around us on the road when I'm coming to work or going home are able to drive. I see that expectation violated every day, but that's another point. And then the beauty is the current business that we have gives us that channel to market. So we're already in the face and with existing relationships, existing business to the customers that are going to want this product today. Let's talk about the market a little bit, the market need. 2023, the last year that good numbers are available, over 40,000 fatalities in the U.S. on the roads. Over 12,000 of them are alcohol related. And of course, there's an enormous effort around enforcement of drunk driving laws, about testing and getting people off the road and regulating them. And of course, we participate in that, and we offer great solutions into that market, and we have competitors that offer very good solutions too. But that still is a big market. The drug testing, again, the numbers here are estimated because the testing is not done. Again, it's an indication that there aren't good solutions available. It's estimated, but the magnitude is of the same order as alcohol testing. And there is no good solution. So, alcohol testing, there are competitors, and we fight for share, and maybe the price gets beaten down. With no good solutions, the pricing is a little bit more open in drug testing for a good solution. So tell me about the use case. How would spin detect fit into this situation today? So, an officer may observe something that he doesn't like. He stops the driver. He'll assess them. They may do a field sobriety test, and then whatever, he'll be suspicious of a driver being impaired by drugs, and so then he'll, if that's the case, he'll go ahead and arrest the driver, process him for a blood draw. So that means he's going to take him to wherever that jurisdiction does their blood draws. Maybe it's an emergency room or an urgent care, or maybe they have a phlebotomist at the station. But whatever, he's got to transport, he's got to process, he's got to take this person, they've got to do a blood draw. Then they'll take that, they'll send it to the crime lab that area uses. They may spend $300 and get a result in a couple weeks with a report of the drug panel. In the meantime, the person has gone away. You have to release them without even having any indication of what their current state is, and then you've spent a lot of time and money to do this. With spin detect, this driver observes the same behavior, makes a stop, has the same suspicion. If he's got equipped with a spin detect, he can go ahead and collect the sample, get a result in 15 minutes. If it's negative, the driver gets to go on there with their business. The officer doesn't spend that maybe 2 hours with the suspect to find out that there's nothing to do, and the department saves money. My son-in-law is a police officer here in outside of Denver. And what I hear from him is the most frustrating thing of his job is when he has to waste time. He brings someone in, and then they wind up releasing them because they don't have information. They don't have good data, and it's just endlessly frustrating to him. We've got to make this. We've got to make this easier. We've got to make the officer's life better, right? They're going to make the ultimate decision. The decision maker to purchase is in the department, right? But the officer is going to make a decision of whether to use it or not. If we don't make his job easier, he's not going to use it, and then they're not going to rebuy supplies, and it's not going to be a successful program. It's got to be a win across the board. It's got to be a win-win-win. We've got to make the officer's life easier, and we're going to save the department money, because instead of spending $300 for that drug panel and then 2 hours of officer time and the blood draw from the phlebotomist, they're going to save all that and going with the spin detect if they find that it's a negative, that there's no drugs on board. If it's positive, they'll probably still go through that route to gather the evidence that they need for conviction. But if you wind up losing half of the drug panels, doing 50% less drug panels, the product easily pays for itself. Likewise, the workplace, it's a similar situation where a supervisor or safety officer may see something suspicious. They can test a worker with a spin detect analyzer, and 15 minutes get an actionable result, either returning to work or corrective action, whatever their program is designed for. If it's further testing, if it's disciplinary, whatever, they've got an actionable response quickly. And there's not only the effectiveness of getting positive, actionable results in a short time, but the fact that you're doing testing and that you can publicize that you're doing testing, and with a credible, reliable device, a sophisticated device, that alone has a deterrent effect, which will apply both in the workplace and on the roads. So as I described, we licensed this technology from Sandia National Labs. At the time of licensing, we demonstrated proof of concept that you could detect marijuana, you could detect cocaine at very low quantities. But it was a a wet chemistry experiment. There were 14 steps on the bench. It took a skilled laboratory technician. Then you load all that into the disk, and the prototype could actually do the detection or the lack of detection if there were no drugs present. You know, that was great for detection, but that was clearly never going to be working on the roadside. So what we've had to spend a lot of time was to get all this chemistry off of the benchtop and load it onto a disk, so that the only thing, excuse me, the only thing that would have to happen is the operator would load a sample to the disk and operate the device. And that's where we're progressing. So development status, we have demonstrated that Spin Detect can detect this whole panel of drugs. If your favorite drug is not up there, it doesn't mean that we can't detect it. It simply means that we have not developed an analysis, an assay for that drug yet. There's no reason to believe that we can't develop an assay for any particular drug. If something else hits the market, something else new, we're hearing a lot about Delta 8 THC. Delta 9 THC is the primary psychoactive component of marijuana today, but then there are synthetics that do Delta 8, and there's a few others. There will be additions to this panel over time. Excuse me, I'm going to get some water. So we've demonstrated this. We have filed a first patent. The license agreement with Sandia includes 10 patents that they have around SpinDX technology and around the drugs of abuse. We have our own patent. We've advanced that technology, and what that patent, there's a few things in that patent, but the most valuable piece is we have advanced on the differentiation of Delta 9 THC from these metabolites that your body generates. So we've got a better resolution on that than Sandia ever had, and that differentiates us from all of the closest competitors in the space, because they don't differentiate for Delta 9 THC. The other thing on the development status is, we're not selling this yet. It's not ready for sale yet, but we are taking this to trade shows now and doing customer demonstrations. So it is getting closer to that launch. I've got some of the details of the method of detection down here. I'm not going to bore. I don't think the general audience is going to want all those details, but a critical thing is that the target has always been to have an analysis time under 15 minutes. We are doing that regularly. We believe that the final time will be about 8 to 10 minutes, still to be determined. So you want to do a test. Well, how does that work? You see, I've got a Spin Detect unit right here. These are all prototypes. I want to be perfectly clear about that. This is not ready for release. So prototype collection device, the swab to collect the oral fluid from the user is introduced in the syringe. You would do this on the top here. The solution is introduced to the disc. Disc is loaded into the device, and it's ready for the analysis. Now, typically for either workplace or law enforcement, you're going to want to identify the sample, identify the operator. My driver's license, every driver's license, US all 50 states have a barcode on the back. I drop the barcode in there, and I don't think you can see the screen in this. I'm sorry. Need to press subject identification, and it's waiting for the barcode. And well, it's not working this second, but it does read the barcode. And then, so you load the driver's information with that. And then lots of departments will have, most police and many workplaces will have RFID tags to identify the worker. And so the operator can see the operator ID. He can put his RFID tag there and load the operator information. So with the loading of a card and an RFID tag, you can get all the information you need. There's also a Bluetooth keyboard if there's extra information that's needed. but I think in most cases that won't be required. So simple to get the ID in. And then again, the test results, no interpretation needed. It'll tell you what the panel is. It'll tell you, it'll highlight in a different color what drugs are found. If it's you'll see all the discs will have a QR code on here. This tells the device what the panel is. If it's a THC only disc, if it's a full panel, if it's a customized panel. Likewise, if you have a particular country, jurisdiction, or workplace wants to have a different cutoff than what's common, we can do that, and that information can be loaded on the QR code as well. So the customization, it will be the same disc, same reagents loaded on it, but simply different information on the QR code. So the customization is really easily achieved. Our business model, again, this really is going to drive recurring revenue. When we do a breath test, every time someone does a breath test, they'll use a breathalyzer, and then that's disposed, one-time use. And those are about a quarter each. And that's nice. You sell a few million of them, it winds up being a significant contribution to our business, and we enjoy that today. But the disc and the collection device, again, because there are what the market will bear, and the solutions that are out there that don't operate as well, this is going to go for about $25. So it's 2 orders of magnitude different. Really a dramatic impact on the business. Even at a lower adoption rate, we can still have a dramatic impact on recurring revenue from these discs. And then, disc development, as I say, there's going to be ongoing disc development and new applications. We're launching with oral fluid and THC. Subsequent with that, we'll go to a quantitative THC, we'll go to a drug panel. But then, and these will be all the same disc and just different reagents. But then we've talked already, we want to go to collection of blood. This is going to be a short step. All the heavy lifting is done, the reader's done, it's the same reader. The disc may be the same, it may not, we're not certain of that yet. The collection device will certainly be different, but we believe that there are off-the-shelf collection devices that are going to be satisfactory there, so it's not a lot of development. Breath is going to be, it will probably be a custom disc, it will certainly be a custom collection device, a lot more sophisticated. It's a further step, but we intend to go there as we get this launch and get things moving and validated in the marketplace. There'll be different drug panels. We've already talked. UK is interested in a different drug panel than we use in the US. South Africa has their own interests. And so we'll be customizing drug panels as opportunities come up. And then, of course, there's all sorts of applications beyond drugs of abuse. As I mentioned, there's performance-enhancing drugs. There are medical, veterinary, food safety that we're very interested in. I've jumped the gun a little bit on the next steps because I've talked about that here. So where are we at? We've got to complete the design. We've got to complete all the designs. You'll see the image on the disc on the slide is different than what here is real life. What will go to market is actually going to be about 25% shorter than here. The footprint will be the same, but that model, the model on the slide, is what we've gone to our molders to get quotes for injection molding tools. We don't have the injection molding tools yet. We're not ready to ramp this up into production, but we are we're finalizing that design and getting those tools kicked off soon. Likewise, the disc and the collection device, we need to get into injection molding for these as well. So there are those things that need to happen as we move into production. And of course, we've got to follow up with the development of blood and breath. So really simple summary, straightforward path. We're going to nurture, we're going to do everything we can with the current business. We're going to absolutely take care of the current business because we need every dollar that generates to make sure that we get across the finish line with the spin detect. The current business, what we have for retained earnings and then financing is going to transform LifeLoc into rapid drug testing and then beyond based on this technology platform. And that is the conclusion of my talk. And with that, I'd like to open up to questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Tell me the story with the SEC filing earlier this year regarding the Sandia agreement. Can you talk about that, please?
Oh, yeah, certainly. So there were a few routine, it's really a routine operation. There were some time things that needed to be updated. And then the Sandia is under the under the leadership of the Department of Energy. Department of Energy is requiring some new language in all of their licensees. One, they've changed the language on domestic manufacture. This is U.S. generated technology. They wanted to benefit U.S. manufacturing, and they've really just refined the language. It was always the intent to manufacture in the U.S., and that was part of the agreement. And then they've also inserted some language about if there's a change of control of the company, that they have the right to pull the license if it goes to a country of risk defined by DOE and some others. So, again, it's to make sure that the U.S. technology doesn't fall into the hands of people that they don't want it to.
Sure. And Wayne, can you talk a little bit about the stock valuation?
Oh, stock value. Yeah. I think the stock is incredibly undervalued. I think the current stock price, with an $8.5 million market cap, it doesn't even reflect the value of the core business, because that's an $8.5 million sales business that's profitable and stable. If you forget spin detect, that it's not even a fair value for that. But then when you see the potential of what spin detect can bring, there's absolutely no value that the marketplace has assigned to that. If you ask my opinion about the stock price, over the last 2.5 years, I've bought over 40,000 shares.
Okay. Well, that says something. Are there any updates on the beta testing of the SpinDx device with human subjects? And can you expect any news or press releases in regards to this progress?
Yeah, the progress is slower than that. We like with that. It depends on a partner, and it depends on a couple of partners getting components and action. So don't really have good progress to report on that front yet.
And is the SpinDx device subject to FDA regulation and approval?
So it will be. What we're going to launch forensic use only, and which that means that's not under FDA, and so that allows us to get into law enforcement and international and some workplace testing as well. We certainly intend to go to an FDA because we are really interested in doing some other things. And of course, if we're going to start talking about human blood, that's going to need FDA. If we're going to talk about diagnostics or food safety, that's going to need FDA. So there will be an embodiment in the future that will be subject to FDA, but launch and cash flow, immediate cash flow doesn't depend on FDA.
And is there any convertible debt in the company?
There's not truly convertible debt. We have, and the details of this are found online. We sold a debenture earlier this year that had warrants attached. So the debt is straight, but then rather than pay maybe an inflated interest rate, the equity adder was warrants.
And what percentage of your customers are not law enforcement customers?
Rough guess. International. Let's say U.S. because international is tough. We don't always get great information on that. U.S. I'd say 85% are not law enforcement.
Okay. And how many municipalities do you sell to?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. It's probably in the few thousands, but that's a guess.
No problem. Wayne, you have lots of questions, so we will be sending you these questions and you can answer our viewer directly with the correct answer on that. No problem. We are out of time, so I just want to give you a second to have some closing remarks for our viewers today.
Wayne W. at Lifeloc, lifeloc.com is my email. If we want to schedule one-on-one time, I'm happy to do that. The next couple weeks, next week is pretty full, but please reach out if possible, and I really appreciate your time and interest.
Perfect. Thank you, Wayne, for joining us, and we look forward to following along with some updates with you.
Thank you, Anna.
All right, everyone, we'll be right back.